They should be bent. The the flight path should curve. And you know what pilots tell me? They sound just like people that don't fly. Well, the world's just so big. Like, do you not understand? If you kept going, at what point are we upside down?
Oh, the
Like,
world's so big you can't see the curve, but you can see a rowboat go over the curve. Suppose
yeah, the world's so big you can't see the curve, but there is one. You don't have to equate for it, but there is one.
it,
Or the a spin. If the Earth spins, how do you fly a plane at one way? If the Earth has to spin certain way, they tell me, well, even though the Earth is spinning, there's no need to correct for it. Okay, so the Earth spins, we don't correct for it. There's a curve, we don't correct for it. Maybe there is no curve, and maybe there is no spin, which is why we don't correct for it.
yeah, I came up with this term. I call them low information believers, where they believe it because it's mainstream, but they don't actually have all the information to know it's true. For example, 90% of the people I talk to about this, I ask them what shapes the solar system, and they think it's like an atom, like the planets go above and below and around. But no, the solar system is flat, and that is new information to the people who believe in the solar system. But that's typical. Anyway, hey Quincy, appreciate the call very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Tim. It's been good. You're doing a great job, man, and I will talk to you soon, sir.
Wonderful. Yeah, call anytime. We'll talk again. All right, everyone. That's Quincy, pilot, and has made a lot of interesting observations. And I'm not saying that the Earth isn't a CGI ball. I'm just saying, show me the proof that it is. The burden of proof has been shifted on all major issues. You can no longer have faith in what your leadership says or what the screen says. I mean, you can, but you should recognize that it is faith. And faith and knowledge are kind of, I mean, faith is good in religion, but faith in media, it's misplaced. Faith in a liar, trusting a liar, wrong, bad idea. I mean, trust but verify. And we've tried to verify, and we haven't found anything to corroborate with any of their real interesting stories. Continuing, this balloon thing's been the main talk. Here's a little throwback proof that the Kyle Rittenhouse trial was fake. This is a scene, and I use that word advisedly, where one of the actors in the background, uh, his foot literally goes through the floor. And this is the type of green screen glitch you would expect to see on the ISS, where their heads go through the ceiling. Or I have a really good one, a recent one, where a cord from a microphone goes through an astronaut's hand multiple times. Whatever your opinion on the curve of the Earth, you cannot be a sane person and tell me that the ISS is real, given the preponderance of evidence that it's a very poorly produced, sloppy science fiction flick.
Yes. And you'd only started
So
working
here we
on
are
Red
looking at the Kyle Rittenhouse
on
trial,
August 14th.
Look at
Correct?
this guy's foot.
I believe
and there you go. An individual in the background, his left foot went through the floor. I mean, how fake is this? Like, they fake when they don't have to fake. Like, liars, I understand liars. Lying is a form of, it's a power thing, it's for manipulation and control. But lying for the sake of lying when the truth would be easier, yeah, that's pathological. And the mass media is a pathological liar. And this proves it. The fact that they will throw in a CGI security guard when they don't have to. All right, continuing. Kevin Mooring says all theater. Yeah, absolutely. The Kyle Rittenhouse story, if you ask me, it's based on Chris Kyle. It's just another manufactured hero character. Here's a video if you haven't seen it. Incredible HD, the moment when the Chinese surveillance balloon was shot down by a missile from an F-22 from Langley. I'm just curious as to who photographed or who filmed it? And I'm looking at this, and it reminded me of the Challenger explosion. And I just want to point out that this time of year, there tends to be a lot of explosions in the sky. It was the last week of January. You had Challenger. You had the Kobe Bryant's explosion. You had, what was it, the Columbia? I think there's some deeper meaning to this. But I want to point out something else. The space shuttle, the space shuttles are all fake, and we can prove this. Therefore, the Challenger explosion was obviously fake. And there's one video that gives it away more than anything, and it comes straight from NASA. Straight from NASA. One of their videos, which shows a, it's one of those tanks being dropped from the space shuttle into the ocean. But if you look carefully, you can find that it's not actually a tank being dropped into the ocean. What you're really seeing is a balloon, a blimp, being, elevating into the sky. It's just a simple optical illusion. And I have a video I'm going to play here. Again, this is the only video you would need. And there's a dead giveaway in this video. For one, this was at a time when they still used handheld cameras, and these handheld cameras were kind of shaky. It's from Endeavor. But then two, at the end of this little clip that I'm going to show you, there is a jet that flies right by this tank. And this jet has been whited out of the footage. I changed the contrast and you could see it. Turns out it's a blimp recovery jet. Infinite Plane Radio.
Yeah, yes. I'm sorry. I wanted to call back just to share the information that I wanted to share before.
Oh, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is what I came across in this regard to the Super Bowl. Okay, so the Philadelphia Eagles have played 666 games in the regular season and playoffs at home between October 3rd, 1920 and January 8th, 2023. They also played in 1,318 games in the regular season in the playoffs between 1920 and 2023. 1318 in regards to Revelation 13:18. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. The number is 666. And this is back in regards to the earlier caller about the egg. There was also a news headline as well with the Philadelphia Eagles. Apparently, they had thrown eggs in their NFC Championship game against the 49ers. Eagles. Very similar to egg.
Yeah, I see that here. Eagles fans were throwing eggs at 49ers fans.
Yes.
Fascinating. That was last Sunday.
Yes. And then I was also thinking about balloon. This is the information came around. Balloon, ball, and I always think about like how they love ball. The god that they like to whatever.
Yeah, ball, the god of the earth.
Balloon, the balloon being like a round egg, and oon. Actually, there's a translation of un and from the Bible. Not that like I'm not a Bible affirmist or denier or whatever. It is, but in the Bible, un translates into an egg.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't catch that. Now, did I? Okay, the call just dropped. If you want to call back, that's cool. That is very good information. And here's another piece. And because we talk about the ball games, and I call it ball worship. Even the globe is ball basically, and it's big ball Earth, and these words and names that have this deeper meaning. It's all intentional. And I was looking at the word devil and diabolos. And I think it's interesting here that the word diabolos, if you look at the etymology, it means throw across. Dia is across, balo, throw across. And so it's kind of like there's something interesting in that word, how it correlates to all these sports, which is definitely ball worship, earth worship. Okay, now, if you're looking at the screen, this is proof that the space station, I'm sorry, the space shuttles are all fake. Now, this is an optical illusion, and it's so poorly done, but they got away with it back then because there weren't as many fact checkers and skeptics like there are right now. Now, this is an optical illusion. You are supposed to believe that you are looking at a red tank from the space shuttle falling into the ocean. You're supposed to believe that you're looking at the tops of clouds and that these clouds are covering the ocean where it's going to fall. You're supposed to believe that you're looking down a couple hundred miles. And here they are from within the space shuttle looking down as this tank falls to the ground. Now, my contention here is that they're in the space shuttle, but it's on the ground and they're recording the sky. And the tank that's supposedly dropping is actually levitating up because it's a helium balloon. It's just a blimp. This is a blimp. And this is an optical illusion. It's not a blimp above the ocean. It's a blimp beneath the clouds. And the sky is being passed off as the ocean. That's what I'm saying here. This is a total hoax. There's no way you're 200 miles up and this is a falling object and you're recording it with the handheld camera this clearly. Huge giveaway. Now at the end of this video, which is from NASA, Endeavour's external tank falls away. Handheld camera footage of Space Shuttle Endeavour's external tank captured by the STS-134 crew. At the end of this clip, you see an airplane snatch it. This is a blimp, and the airplane has one of those rigs for recovering blimps. I'm going to pause it when the plane shows up, but right after that, and this thing is twisting and turning. And I've seen so many balloons because I live in Albuquerque where we have the International Balloon Fiesta. This is a balloon, and that's just my expert opinion. But what's even better is they move the camera as soon as the airplane shows up. There's the airplane on the right. Now, again, you might believe in outer space. You might believe in space shuttles. You might have cried for the Challenger astronauts. But this is evidence here that this is a blimp disguised as an external tank. And on the right is a plane recovering it. And they move the camera. Nothing suspicious about that. I'll play the last 30 seconds of this.
On the ground for a closer look to make sure to gather any data that they can from it, and in particular make sure that there aren't any indications of anything that might have happened that would have hurt Endeavour's heat shield on its climb into orbit.
Now there it is spinning around. Again, that is not the ocean below it, it's the sky above it. This is an optical illusion, and it's this is just so poorly done. And they don't do this anymore. They don't record the sky and pretend it's the ocean and bend it so it looks like the ball Earth. Now it's all CGI. But again, you're going to see here, an airplane comes to scoop it up, and this handheld camera immediately moves away. I'm watching this thing spin. I'm not believing I'm looking down at the Earth. I know I'm looking up because I'm not a dupe. And here comes the airplane. Oh, move the camera away. Wouldn't want anybody to see that. That's inconvenient. And there's some debris. There you have it. All the evidence you need. And here is again the recovery plane, case closed, on the space shuttles. And if these aren't real, nothing else is real. If Apollo 11 is fake, Apollo 12 is fake, it's a house of cards. It's all fake. Salty Siren says, real life Truman Show when the moon deflates and falls. Yeah, I was thinking about it. The Truman Show is about a character who wakes up to the fact that he's in a staged reality when one of the fake stars falls. And it's a satellite. It's a stage light. And it says Sirius. Because it's like the star, or it's the stage light that represents the star Sirius. And that there are layers of significance to that. But this piece of stagery falling down to Earth, yeah, it could be a wake-up call. It could be a wake-up call if someone were to see this and actually really question it. By the way, I have a guarantee of being shipped within 24 hours on any of the hand-painted Valentine's Day cards. I'll post the link one more time. If you go to its Ko-Fi /Tim Osman /shop, I am selling private commissioned art, and the ones I have right now are based on Mid-Journey Visions of Penguins, and I also have a number of Penguin Valentine's cards, and of course these will be shipped out on time for you to have them before that holiday. Got a tweet from D-Train, said Alex Jones was wrong. He says it's not spying, they have satellites for it, it's a giant EMP. That's what they do. The guard railers, the conspiracy theorists that are approved on the world stage, look, they're not being censored. The fact that Alex Jones is always in the news means he's not being censored. Their job is to take the regular news and make it scarier. And the ones who are looking for evidence are the ones who are saying maybe nothing's happening at all. Maybe it's fake. So, for example, mainstream news, it's a spy balloon. Alternative news, it's a scary EMP, it's going to kill us all. But if you go beyond the guardrailed approved conspiracy theory line, you get to our territory, which is it's probably just fake CGI top to bottom. I have a video here of a Satelloon passing in front of the moon. Now what you're looking at here is basically what you saw the other day. It's a balloon at the it's a balloon with probably a CubeSat. Again, I think Starlink satellites are a bunch of balloons. The truth behind satellites. That's what's coming out of this. This is really, really good. Or cringe. If you like cringe, you'll love this. This is Kamala Harris talking on the phone to an astronaut. These are always good. But this is the one where, again, maybe you don't believe me about the space shuttles. Maybe you give them the benefit of the doubt, and that was just a cloud shaped like a blimp recovery jet. But this is a cord from a microphone going through somebody's arm and hand repeatedly.
Change your view of Earth and your perception of who we are, who live on Earth?
Oh man, that's a great question, and I think it's something that we all share up here. You know, one of the unique perspectives that we have here is to see Earth in its entirety. You know, we orbit the Earth, we see 16 sunrises and sunsets every day, and
you know what's given away here more than anything? Let me just show you this. This shows you it's AVR. That the microphone isn't really there. Or maybe it is, and the cord is fake. But that cord is fake, like their necklaces are often fake. There's no way that cord can be there because it is going through his watch. I'm going to leave it where it is. It's sawing his hand off. Like if this was I don't know how you can explain it. I'm sorry. Microgravity pockets. That's what they said when that one cosmonaut was dropping screws and they were hitting the floor. All right, let's continue. This is a short clip from The Truman Show.
Cease transmission. Ceasing transmission.
You want another slice?
No, I'm okay.
What else is on?
Yeah, let's see what else.
Where's
is
the
on.
TV guy?
Okay, well, this is the end of The Truman Show. If you didn't get it, what it's referring to when Truman leaves the show, the people who are watching are immediately, they go from being totally transfixed to, okay, what's next? The system cannot keep up with society's, what is it, an appetite for chaos? Is it a short attention span? Is it just fragmented? Not sure. Les Luthor posted this, the Fugo balloon bomb of World War II, 33 feet in diameter, 33 pounds of explosives. We've been here before, in other words. Incendiary balloon bombs deployed by Japan against the United States. It looks like they were intended to start massive forest fires in the Pacific Northwest. It's all recycled. The news is green. And by that, I mean it's all recycled. Everything is. George Santos claims he produced a Spider-Man musical. Now, people may think this is a joke, this George Santos thing. I think it has to be scripted and fake. If you don't know the story, he claimed his parents died from 9/11, his grandparents died in the Holocaust. He claimed so many things. He was behind many Ponzi schemes, and he made his way into politics, and he got himself into office. And I don't know how long this is going to last. But he's one of these, what do they call them? Fabulists. These individuals who just lie. It's not just compulsive though. It's not just embellishing his resume. This is a representative, which means a lot of people helped get him into power. We just don't know who. Now I don't know if the exposure of him was supposed to happen or not. But one of the things this illustrates is that I'm correct about this being a lie world order, and that I think that the basic form of psychological operation is just the lie. A lie is a psyop in the very basic sense. And I don't think you can go that high on the world stage without being a magnificent liar. And I think this is just an example of how liars get rewarded. And this all ties in, I think, to the very notion of like the reason why diabolos means to throw. It's referencing the devil as the accuser, or Satan as the liar, the father of lies. And whatever you think about them, I mean, I was looking at the Grammy Awards, and there's that song Unholy. I think it's safe to say that the power elite worship the devil, and they have taken lying to a really high art. It's very sophisticated. I think it's tantamount to magic in this sense. But anyway, this is like Jussie Smollett. Maybe the reason why they're exposing him, like they did Smollett, is to give the public the perception that, oh, if there's a liar among us, we would expose them. If there's a hoax, we'll expose it. And this makes the public think, okay, these are occasional events. These are isolated incidents. These are, well, exceptions to the rule. And I'm here to say, no, lying, psychological operations, no, these are the rule. The honest ones would be the exception, and they obviously get censored. Thanks to Timelapse on Twitter who sent me this. Turns out we have another interesting thing regarding timing. I mentioned that the movie Moonfall came out the same day that this thing got shot down. Well, check this out. January 21st, 2022, monkeys escape after truck crashes. If you remember this, we had these monkeys escaping, and now we have this new story, a year to the date, arrest made in connection with monkeys taken from the zoo. So a year to the date, you have a story of missing and found monkeys. I don't know what that all means. I don't want to go too far into it, but I've come up with some interesting connections. Going through your comments here. Tominoid says, power comes from lying, lying big, getting the whole world to lie along with you. Once you got everybody agreeing, they know in their hearts it's not true, you got them by the balls. Is that from a movie? Sounds like something Al Pacino would say. Oh, Sin City. Okay, well, it's true. And lying is the basic form of psychological operation, and then you have, of course, higher degrees of it. But you can't get anywhere in the lie world order without being willing to engage in that, to lie on camera. Then you have the visual lies, which are almost more dominant now. Like, it's almost more important to be able to tell the difference between real and fake visually than just discerning, because most of our experience is visual, and we're lost as a society. People have been so immersed in bad CGI that they can't tell the difference between reality and bad CGI. I don't know if you can fix that necessarily. It's a philosophical crisis. All right, this has been great. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out, go to conspiratained.com. We're producing news. This is the world's first AI generated tabloid. And before the end of the month, this will see print. And we are looking for writers, not specifically as in writing articles like in a traditional tabloid, but rather working with our AI bots to generate stories, like Liver King hospitalized after consuming his own liver. Balenciaga Frazzle Drip collection marks Hillary Clinton's fashion debut. By taking this underground elite fashion mainstream, Hillary is again breaking a glass ceiling. The AI generated art alone will make the tabloid worth the cost. Okay, it's Sunday, 2/6/2023. I expect it's going to be a very interesting week. We'll be live pretty much every single day. I want to spend some time going over this piece by The Atlantic about how we are already in the metaverse, a point that I've been making for a couple of years now about this immersive illusion. And the thing is, this is from The Atlantic. Their article has this graphic, which looks like somebody on an infinite plane, one. Two, the article makes every point that I make, only it says the people who don't believe the news are the deceived ones. It's just a complete inversion. But they steal all the good points, which kind of strikes me as interesting. Southern Poverty Law Center released 22,000 Alex Jones text messages. Why not 33, like Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails? But 22,000 Alex Jones texts. I'm hoping that out of these texts, which are being released little by little by SPLC, and right now they're focusing on his home life. Apparently he believes he's living in hell. SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, is one of these PSYOP reinforcement groups. They demonize conspiracy theorists. They say the AOK symbol is a hate symbol, etc. But listen to this. This is just Schadenfreude. They're enjoying this. Alex Jones describes himself as living in hell, being part of a sick joke sinking down into a black hole. Like gravity. Like a black hole. 22,000 texts. And they're all pretty dismal on this little collection here. Some of it's about infidelity, stalking his wife through a private investigator. It gets pretty personal. I mean, he's been treated worse than the Sandy hookers. If anybody, I mean, he could sue. Alex Jones could sue Netflix for trademark infringement for stealing inside job. Says here, again, I'm not going to read any of this stuff, but apparently there's a lot of booze over at InfoWars, a lot of vodka. A lot of people are concerned about his drinking. I mean, this is all stuff that's really not all that relevant, but it's part of the ongoing process of iconoclasm. They're destroying this icon that they have built up. And it's all meant to intimidate you. This is an example of how things could go wrong if you don't start going along with and crying along with the TV during tragedies. If you don't start showing tears, and if the way they're going to measure your brainwaves. If you're not experiencing grief at every fake school shooting, yeah, they're going to swat your house. It seems like it. That's where they're headed. But I'm waiting to see the tweets from 1/6. So I am actually interested in going through Alex Jones's tweets, and I will. So just a heads up there, I'll keep you all apprised of what we find there. FBI warns of neo-Nazi plots as attacks on the Northwest power grids spike. Now just a heads up here. All of these neo-Nazis that attack the power grid to shut down the power to stop drag shows or whatever, they're all fake. They're all feds. Real neo-Nazis are just internet trolls. I have proof. The neo-Nazis, the ones who hate Jews, they're racist, and they want America to be pure white, the Nick Fuentes types, yeah, they're just internet trolls. They are not terrorists. They are not some kind of threat to our power grid. They are the scapegoat. But really, I mean, I try to be nice. I try to be nice to them. Like, I recognize they're just damaged and brainwashed and they can't think for themselves. They're broken machines and they're not a threat. Okay, continuing. This Sadaloon story's been great. I've been working on mind maps. If you go to metascript.cc, I'm making some updates there. And I have a new mind map right now that's really focusing on what I think is coming up with this Super Bowl. We'll cover that tomorrow. Another new development on the channel, I have started producing the short videos, 10-minute videos breaking down topics independent from an actual live stream. Just something to look forward to. If you subscribe to Patreon, you will be in the know. Lean Dion says Trump's on 33 charges. Interesting. Let me take a look at that. Wouldn't shock me at all. Oh yeah, that's right. Trump could face 33 years in prison if he's charged. 33 years is what I'm seeing here, but has he been charged 33 times? Probably. Some of these charges against him are pretty bad. It's the type of stuff that if it was on the political left, the QAnoners would be all over it. I mean, really, if you look at it objectively, they're all just covered in pizza grease. Even JFK Jr. JFK Jr. was hooking up with Ghislaine Maxwell back in the day. That's like a document. It is one of her chief conquests. JFK Jr. I'm like, well, what does that say? I thought he was trying to stop these people, but he's actually literally in bed with them. Like, none of that makes any sense to me. Again, if you missed the news, thousands of computer servers around the world have been targeted by ransomware hacking attacks. Italy's national cybersecurity warns. Oh, speaking of security and national security, not only did Marcus Goldfinch get reported to the FBI for hacking Kickstarter, but he's also been reported for sharing secret documents. That's correct. Above classified documents. Something I reported on in my blog. I'm not going to go through it here. I'm trying not to give them too much airtime because they won't exist in the very near future. That story about Trump getting 33 charges was from a few months ago. Not too old. But yeah, good point there with Lean Dion. See, the cyber pandemic in Italy. If you remember, COVID started in Italy. Coincidentally, Tom Hanks was in Australia under quarantine. Meanwhile, Australia was on fire. It was an inferno. If you remember the fires in Australia that were all the news back right when COVID was about to start, Tom Hanks was on quarantine and Australia was burning. Now, what's the message there? Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, 2 weeks after they felt better. But my point is, here they are. Australia is burning because of climate change. And they're filming, I believe, the Elvis movie at the time. But the significance was Dan Brown has a book and movie called Inferno. Tom Hanks is in the movie. Inferno is about a super virus. So there you have your connection. Inferno, Australia burning, super virus. Now, in the movie, Tom Hanks wakes up in Italy in a hospital. Like, that's a weird connection because Italy is where the first lockdowns happened. And now we have the cyber pandemic beginning in Italy, the blackouts we've been talking about. No coincidence there. And I think there may be something with Christopher Nolan, given he's the one producing Oppenheimer. And I've looked into this quite a bit, and I talked about this the other day, that the Batman movie has a lot of predictive programming, not just for COVID, but for some kind of nuke. And now he's doing this Oppenheimer film. And Christopher Nolan is considered to be today's Kubrick. And that's very significant in this, in the bigger picture here. If anybody faked the nuke that's going to be presented on the news as real, is Christopher Nolan. Okay, I guess I should just mention this once, just get it out of the way. I have a new term here just because, and I'm only dealing with this because I've been surrounded by these internet Nazis. I'm referring to them now as CJTs, for critical Jew theorists, because I hear a lot of criticism of critical race theory from the right. Like, well, you can't just frame everything that blames and blame everything that's wrong with America on whites, on race, and that's how critics of critical race theory see it, as sort of a scapegoating and as unfair, and as grievance politics, as not taking responsibility. But then here you have on the opposite side of the fence, opposite from the critical race theory proponents, you have the ones who blame Jews for everything. And it's the same thing. It's grievance politics. I'm like, these internet Nazis all think they're being oppressed by Israel. I'm like, you're not oppressed. You're just indoctrinated. You're hyper-mediated. You're you're pretty much in a dream world. But I'm referring to them now as CJTs because I think these are parallel, mirrored ideologies. I think they're both equally disconnected from reality, and I think they're both kind of political. I would just say footballs, more or less, or rather, these are just things that divide people along these political lines. But I mean, you can't even reconcile it. It's like you can't have a universe where both of these things are true, and this keeps the political divide intact. You can't say this group runs the world. No, this group runs the world. This group's oppressing me. No, I'm oppressed by that group. Well, who's oppressed? It's like the oppression Olympics. And I just think it's kind of a joke when I see these internet neo-Nazis trying to make the case to me that they're somehow being oppressed. And since I'm not calling out their imagined oppressor, I am now their oppressor. That's what they do. They say, oh, you're one of them. I'm like, look, I have nothing to do with that. Article here just came out about the blue marble, and it's from theconversation.com. Blue marble, how half a century of climate change has altered the face of the earth. And this remarks here that this picture sparked environmentalism. The first photo taken from space. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is 50 years ago, the blue marble catalyzed the environmentalist movement. Again, this is Baal, the earth god, looking at the face of their god. Now they're worshiping it as Gaia. Now the thing is, Avatar 2 came out, and I said this is just a replacement for the blue marble. And the more I look at this, the more this bears out. Not only was Avatar used, and it's being used right now to do what blue marble did, but now they're fusing it with BLM. They're fusing the story of Avatar and Pandora with the Atlanta police cop city being built over a forest that these guardians of the forest eco defenders are trying to protect. And they basically staged the Avatar story in Atlanta between the cops and the environmentalists. I wrote a blog about that at timosman.blog if you want to check it out. Miles Mathis did an interesting article about a recent attack, another one of these race war provocations, totally fake. This was a bicyclist who was attacked. Supposedly the attacker said that he was taking revenge for systemic racism. Totally phony story. Laughably fake. But Miles Mathis did a piece on it, and one of the things he remarked is that there was a single shoe, and he took this as an indicator that this is a hoax. And he's not wrong about that. One of the things we've noticed, and a lot of people who've looked at a lot of these PSYOPs have arrived at this, what is it with the single shoe that marks a PSYOP? Just seems like every one of these events has a single shoe. But that's not the only thing. Now, the interesting thing about this, though, and this is from milesmathis.com/mammon, the bicyclist stabbing appears to be fake. But what he remarks on here is that the stabbing victim is his age and in his area of the country, and he actually thinks, given certain terms that were used in this article, he thinks that this is directed at him. This is again Miles Mathis, one of the great PSYOP deconstruction artists out there. I mean, he takes it to a very elevated level here. I'll put a link in the chat. He says, I feel more and more like the Truman Show since this new theater project looks directly aimed at me. They know I'm a bicyclist living in California and they need to increase my fear levels. I think they're trying to break me. But as you can see here, I'm not buying it. Now, in this article, he breaks down how he thinks this PSYOP about a murdered bicyclist was targeting him. Very interesting article and story here, and I don't disagree. Now, are they trying to chase him off? I wouldn't be surprised. I think if you're in this area of research, yes, you do get, but I find, to be quite honest, I find the trolls among the quote truther community are the worst. Like you have more to, yeah, like with friends like these, who needs enemies? Okay, this has been great. We're going to continue tomorrow. And again, there's going to be a lot more content here in the coming weeks in the form of short videos. I am freeing up my schedule. I've really been bogged down with this legal stuff, but it's going to pay off in more ways than one. We are winning this thing. It's already been won, if you ask me. It's like one of these chess games where the sore loser just doesn't want to admit that he doesn't have a way out, and he's just going to run out the clock, but it's not going to work that way. We are bringing this thing to a close. I put a link to Patreon below if you want to sign up. And if you go to infiniteplane.live, you get all of the relevant links. And you can also sign up for text notifications.